All right, so welcome back, guys, to Let's Talk Television. We're at episode 10 here today. So typically I do these episodes on Saturdays, but we're here Sunday night, actually just before some of my favorite shows this week. True Detective and The Walking Dead are coming on like just in a little bit, so definitely have to catch up with those, get tuned into those. But yeah, so I thought I definitely wanted to do this at least on the weekend. Just been really busy the last couple days, and I just did not have time. Like I just did not have any time to even think about doing Let's Talk Television yesterday. So I do apologize for that, but we are here on Sunday night. And like I said, I really wanted to get it done before the next week started, because then it's just too tough, right? To still talk about all the news. And of course I still want to do an episode this week, because there were some considerable news topics this week, including, of course, which is the spotlight episode the spotlight topic, sorry, for this week, which is Counterpart season 2 being canceled. So there will not be a season 3 on Starz. So that was one of the biggest news, and of course we'll start the episode off by talking about that one, and that'll be our spotlight, and then of course a couple other news topics in there as well. We got Jack Ryan renewed, the Breaking Bad movie, we got some news about that, and Netflix, Hulu and Marvel doing some things together, and the Handmaid's Tale Season 3 premiere date. So, yeah, some good stuff to talk about here. Just gonna check on this. Okay, yeah, everything looks good there. Okay. And yeah, and so there's definitely some good things to talk about this week. I know a couple of the other things. There was a new Abigail Spencer drama that got picked up, I believe, at Hulu as well. And there was some other stuff with CBS All Access too. So, of course, right, I'm not going to talk about all the news from the week, but I try to talk about the biggest topics, and also topics that I know enough about to talk about, right? And that's kind of my philosophy. It's like, well, if there's someone out there that's going to be a little bit better than me, they're going to know a bit more, and it's going to be more insightful for someone else to talk about it. That's usually when I kind of say to myself, well, maybe I won't talk about this one. Maybe I'll focus on this show that I watch actively now and I know everything about. So, anyways, yeah, so anyways, thank you guys for tuning in live. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in afterwards too. Really do appreciate that as well. So if you're watching live, please be sure to follow along in the live chat. Share your news on any or all of this, all these topics here we talk about. Love to hear your thoughts, and just any questions in general. Definitely try to get to them in between segments here. And yeah, so definitely do that. And then if you're watching afterwards, of course, leave a comment. If you leave a question, definitely spend some time answering that next week in the Q&A segment towards the end of the episode. So some really great TV is on right now, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys are watching. Of course, later in the episode, I'll go over my weekly notables from this week. But wow, like there's just there's about 5 shows that I watched this week. That's a drastic change from back in December when I was just watching one for almost the whole 2 or 3 weeks, which is odd for me. But anyways, so let's get into the first topic here of the episode, which is Counterpart canceled after 2 seasons on Starz. And so this news was a bit surprising to me this week, just because I'm not caught up with Counterpart season 2, which I kind of regret. I kind of wish I was, kind of caught up with it, and that then I could see this series finale, right? And I believe it's actually airing. Is it tonight? I think it's airing tonight. Like it might be airing like in about an hour or so, which is now the series finale of the show. Which, a week ago was only the season 2 finale, right? And so it's funny how that, can go through such a drastic change between the two. And so with that, it's really difficult, right? For fans, the creators, producers of the show, cast, crew. And so it's going to be interesting to see how, they go forward. And of course, if someone else will pick up the show. So that's also an important part of this story as well. So, from The Hollywood Reporter here, Counterpart is dead at Starz, they report. Director Justin Marks, who's also the showrunner, announced Monday on his verified Twitter account that the premium cable network has opted to cancel the drama starring J.K. Simmons after 2 seasons. The news comes ahead of Sunday's Season 2 finale, which will now serve as a series finale. Should another outlet not pick up the drama. Quote here, "It's been an absolute dream for this team. We got to make exactly the show we wanted to. Perfect cast, perfect crew on 2 continents, and we're so grateful to our network for the time we had." And that's what Justin Marks wrote on Twitter. "Thank you to everyone who made this journey so special for us. Your tweets, podcast, and intricate conspiracy theories have made it all worthwhile. Fingers crossed that our wonderful studio MRC can find a way to keep the dream alive." And so that's what Justin Marks says, and that's been kind of echoed throughout this article and some of the other news that I've seen as well about this story, right? So, picked up, and this is where we get into the reasoning, right? Picked up straight to series with a 2-season order. The options on the cast expired last year, but earned a brief extension to February 1st as the cabler waited to see if MRC could find a new home for the series elsewhere. While a critical breakout with a cult following, the series was unable to connect with a larger audience, generating an average of under 500,000 total viewers with 3 days of delayed viewing. So, kind of puts things in perspective there, right? As Starz continues to double down on Lionsgate produced content, now that the latter is the cabler's parent company, Counterpart's status as a show from an outside studio with a pricey licensing fee and cast licensing fee and cast likely contributed to the cancellation. So that's what the Hollywood Reporter is kind of claiming here. And again, this, to me, this all kind of falls into the huge overarching trend right now with these streaming services and really anything outside of network TV right now, which is original content, right? Everyone wants original content. I mean, we see, of course, Netflix, Hulu. I mean, literally, you can even name Starz, for example, Starz Originals, AMC. I mean, The Walking Dead used to just be a show on AMC. And now, everywhere you see, it's categorized as an AMC original, right? And so this whole term of original and original content is something that is just, I mean, it's kind of blown out of proportion now with all these agreements. And like it says here, the licensing fees and the cost to put these things together. And these networks, these streaming services, or cablers, as the article says, it's like they just want, they don't want to worry about licensing fees. They want to make some themselves. And that's where you see, Hulu, they were on track to lose $2 billion or something in 2018. Netflix is losing like billions a year, right? And it's like they're spending all that money on licensing fees, and also, of course, the original content too. But I would argue the majority, and I think, if you search it up, the statistics and the numbers would prove that the majority of that money is going towards licensing other content. And so, it just comes down to a business, model of you want your own original content. And literally everyone is just fighting for original content. You also see this with, big show creators. You look at, how am I blanking on his name? Ryan Murphy, right? You look at Ryan Murphy, you look at Shonda Rhimes, and all these, big show creators who've done really, a successful show in their own right. And Courtney Kemp Agbo, you can even look at her for Power on Starz. And all these networks, and Robert Kirkman too with Amazon. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? All these networks and all, cablers, whatever, streaming services want these show creators, these storytellers, these, creative geniuses, if you will, to be on their side so that they can create original content for themselves without having to license it out here, pay fees here to this studio, and all this stuff, right? They want to produce all their own stuff. And so we saw this with Netflix and Marvel. We saw this with American Vandal and Netflix. Maybe one of the maybe more popular cancellations, if you will, American Vandal last year. And that's a big part of it, is because Netflix, it was just, I believe it was CBS TV Studios or something like that, and they didn't want to keep licensing, from an outside studio, and they wanted to bring it, into the fold at Netflix, and so that's why that one canceled. And again, the Marvel shows, right? Daredevil. That's one of the bigger reasons, of course. Obviously, you taking the Marvel and Disney thing in there too, but that was also went into that decision as well. So, yeah, I mean, is it a surprise? Not really. I mean, if you look more into this, you get that it was picked up for 2 seasons. and the contracts expired. You know, that's just what happens. And so Starz, I think, going into it, had really high, really lofty expectations for this one. And you know what? I think season 1 did well. I think season 1 really kind of lived up to those high expectations, if you will. With Starz, I think it was, I watched through all the way through season 1. I'm not a huge sci-fi fan, but I really did enjoy the sci-fi in this one. The drama, J.K. Simmons, of course, steals the show. And I still think he should have got nominated for an Emmy. I don't know how he doesn't, playing two characters, the two main characters in the show, and he doesn't get an Emmy, and he's an Academy Award nominated actor. But anyways, and so, I really like season 1. I have not checked out season 2 yet. And I feel like I'm not alone in that. I feel like season 2 was kind of, maybe a dip in ratings, but also popularity. I haven't heard anything really about it since it premiered and since the trailer came out around that time, which I also talked here about on Let's Talk Television. So it's just unfortunate, but, if it didn't live up to the expectations that they wanted here with season 2, the contract was up, they just chose not to renew it. And then, of course, also bringing in that point of original content. It's from an outside studio, and they want to make, they want to work on more original Starz, products. And also with the Lionsgate stuff, that comes into it too, with them, being the parent company now of Starz, and them wanting to probably, go from Lionsgate Productions, into Starz now as well for their originals. So, yeah, I mean, is it a surprise? Not really. Is it disappointing? I think, yes. I think I still do want to check out season 2 of Counterpart, to see where they go with this story. Yeah, I thought it would have been okay as a season 1, as a limited series. Of course, there was like a cliffhanger, so, they kind of made it necessary for a season 2, and they knew they were going to do 2 seasons at the time, of course. But yeah, would it have been better as a mini-series, maybe? Maybe. It may have kind of just lost its stride a little bit going into season 2. Maybe some people got bored of it. It is definitely a kind of an elevated concept, right? You kind of have to buy into it. You have to be definitely intrigued by it. And I was in season 1, so... Anyways, Counterpart Can't Stop Chasing the Stars. Love to hear your thoughts on this one. Was this surprising to you? Is it disappointing? Have you ever heard of Counterpart? Have you ever watched it? And if you have, you're caught up, let me know your thoughts. But it does sound like tonight. I think it's literally tonight. It might be like just in a few minutes here, momentarily, that the series finale now will be airing. So, very unfortunate. And again, this comes back with the conversation of, they didn't know it was going to be the series finale going in, so is it going to be an effective series finale? And the answer will probably be no, but hopefully it's at least satisfying, to see. And then, of course, the last part of this is, will it get picked up by another studio? I don't know. I'm not sure. Now, would it benefit more on a Hulu or, an Amazon or so? I could really see Amazon picking up this show. I think it would really work well with the kind of the framework that they're building currently. But yeah, I mean, would it benefit from that a little bit of kind of elevated audience, and if they do some marketing for it, some advertisement, they could really get this season 3 back on its feet and get those viewers again. And so, yeah, that's another conversation too. But by the sounds of it and kind of the reactions that I've seen is that it probably won't be picked up by anyone else. But they still are holding out hope here. They got their fingers crossed, as Justin Marks, the showrunner, says. And so we'll have to see. Hopefully it does. For me, I'd love to see it get another season. But again, we'll have to see. So, anyways, I really do hope then J.K. Simmons gets nominated for season 2. But who knows, man? Who knows? A little disappointing, but we'll see. Alright, so that'll just about do then for the Spotlight topic. Again, let me know your thoughts on that one for sure. Alright, so... now on to our next topic here, and this one is for the Handmaid's Tale Season 3, and I think this is something that, I think this is something that, people were just kind of waiting for. It's not huge news, of course, but it is the premiere date set for the Handmaid's Tale Season 3, and so what maybe is the most surprising about this is the actual date itself. right? You know, the most surprising part of this news is the date itself. And so this article is from TV Line, and they actually are, you know, they put some good stuff into this for Handmaid's Tale fans. I have not watched. I think have I seen, I may have seen like a couple episodes or something like that from the very beginning, season 1, and I know the kind of the premise. Elizabeth Moss, of course, and what's one of the supporting actress, Stravosky or something like that. You know, we see those names at the Emmys every year that they've been nominated or they've been eligible. So yeah, you know, I know kind of the whole concept of it, and you know, the cast and what it's all about, but yeah, so it's just interesting here to hear about the date and how that goes into the Emmys too. So all right, so here from TV Line, brace yourselves, we're all going back to Gilead in June. I think that's how it's pronounced. The Handmaid's Tale will return for its 13-episode third season on Wednesday, June 5th. So Wednesday, June 5th, Hulu announced Monday. 3 new episodes will be available that day, so that day, June 5th, with subsequent hours released on Wednesdays. Season 3 will pick up from the Season 2 finale, in which June decided to stay in Gilead in order to look out for daughter Hannah, while Emily took June's infant daughter and escaped. Per Hulu, the upcoming episodes will center on June's rebellion and will feature startling reunions, betrayals, and a journey to the terrifying heart of Gilead. End quote. It is interesting to note that Handmaid's Tale premiere date late premiere date at that, as TV Line says, will make it ineligible, will make it ineligible for the 2019 Emmy Awards. A trailer released during this year's Super Bowl invoked Ronald Reagan's 1984 Morning in America political ad, but soon turned into a mass of fire, chaos, and June's vengeful voiceover, "Wake up, America," she says in the spot, "Morning's over." And so, yeah, that trailer came out. I remember watching that one back with our Let's Talk Cinema. You know, a couple weeks ago, Greg and I talked about all those Super Bowl trailers, spots that came out, and that was definitely one of them. Of course, we had, you know, Toy Story, Avengers Endgame, and a few other ones of the sort. I think we had Scary Stories Tell in the Dark, Us, you know, a lot of movie stuff, but there were also some TV stuff as well in there. Some people thought we might see a Stranger Things trailer or something like that. I don't think that happened, but anyway, so... yeah, probably the most interesting thing about this for me is that June 5th falls right out of the 2019 Emmy Award eligibility requirement, which is May 31st. So how the Emmys goes every year is it's June 1st to May 31st. I don't think that is similar to the Oscars, which is, I believe it's just January 1st to December 31st. Emmys does it a little bit differently, and so we have... any show that's, you know, comes out in June, from June 1st to May 31st, is that year's awards. And, of course, the awards are in September. And then after May 31st, anything after that is then going to be in 2020, right? So that's how you get some of these shows. It's like, you forgot that was even on. And that's a fair point, because it was like a year ago or more than a year ago by the time September rolls around and these awards come on. And I think, you know, Killing Eve was one of those two that, you know, at the Emmys back in September, and it was like everyone kind of forgot about it, right? Even though, you know, Sandro gets nominated, some really, you know, great acclaim for them actually at the Emmys too in September. But anyways, and so what's really interesting though here too is that Game of Thrones will be in the 2019 Emmy eligibility zone there. And you know, for their last season, Game of Thrones is probably going to sweep the Emmys. I mean, you know, every award in the drama category, I think they'll be nominated for just about. You know, they have been already in past years. So, you know, and of course you have those, you know, regulars, Peter Dinklage, you know, Emilia Clarke, Kit Harington, you know, all these. They'll probably all get nominated as well. But anyways, so it's just interesting how they kind of fall out of the Game of Thrones Emmy conversation, and so then they'll be thrown into their own thing, probably with Westworld Season 3, Better Call Saul Season 5 will probably be in there, yeah, a few others, right? A few of those other big ones, but the biggest thing is that they'll dodge Game of Thrones. And, you know, was this done purposely? I don't know. You know, it's interesting. You know, I think it, obviously, if you're choosing between them, let's just say it this way, if you're choosing between May 29th and June 5th, and then someone says, well, we'll probably have a better chance of winning some, Emmy Awards or in a contention for Emmy Awards if we move it a week. Why wouldn't you do that, right? And it's not even, I don't think that was the main decision, the main thing that sparked them to make this decision to air after. It could have just been a coincidence at the end of the day. But just is interesting. So I have to see. I mean, this Emmys coming up is actually going to be really interesting because, I mean, you got Game of Thrones and all these other big ones I just, listed. Handmaid's Tale, Westworld, Better Call Saul Season 5. Those three are some of the biggest drama ones contending. We'll have Killing Eve Season 2 in this Emmys. So that's a conversation for a whole other day about the type of shows that are going to be in this year's Emmys. And it's going to be interesting to see, how it all plays out. But Game of Thrones obviously is going to clean up. It's looking like as well. But anyways, let me know what you're thinking of Handmaid's Tale. What are you looking forward to in Season 3 if you're caught up with the show. And so June 5th, Wednesday, June 5th. And I do like how Hulu does this. They did this with Castle Rock as well this summer that I checked out, where they do 3 episodes on the premiere date, and then they do 1 every week after that. It worked really well with Castle Rock with the 10-episode season that they did. Instead of 10 weeks, it was 7 weeks, and it was just kind of a quicker time span there in like the middle of summer, where you got about 8 weeks of summer, and you just slide it in there with the 7 weeks. I think it's just a lot better than 10. It also does make it a little bit more difficult, though, to, catch up if you're behind, right, on, like, 3 episodes, 1 week, makes it a little difficult, but I do, ultimately, I think I like that kind of organization that Hulu does for their original shows. So, anyways, premiere date set for The Handmaid's Tale Season 3. Let me know what you think of that one. All right, so, next one is the Breaking Bad movie. This one's interesting. So, of course, this Breaking Bad movie, I think it was back in October-ish there, October area. Of course, we got the announcement that this secret movie, Greenbrier, it's being codenamed, I guess, at this point, is in production, or that they were going to be in production. And I found this just really, really funny the whole way through. I talked about it. I'm not gonna exhaust it, of course, but I did talk about it when we got the news, and here on Let's Talk Television, of course. And it was just crazy how I actually ended up calling it pretty much, because back in May of 2018, or April or May of 2018, Aaron Paul posted a picture of him at AMC building, the AMC Network's building, on his Instagram. And then I talked about that post in Let's Talk Television back in May, or April of 2018. And I was speculating, I'm like, what does this mean, right? Like, are they going to do, like, a spin-off after the events? And turns out I was pretty close. It just ended up that it took a while for the news to come out. But anyways, so yeah, the new Breaking Bad movie is set to air on Netflix and AMC. So that's this news. So the article here is from Deadline. Vince Gilligan's Breaking Bad movie continues to be shrouded in secrecy, but we hear it will air on Netflix and AMC, which also carries Gilligan's Emmy-winning series. No one would comment, but word is that the two networks might have their roles reversed, with this time around with Netflix taking first window and AMC second. The Breaking Bad series aired originally on AMC, with seasons subsequently made available for streaming on Netflix. For Netflix and AMC to share the Breaking Bad follow-up is fitting, as the two outlets share the credit for the success of the original series. Gilligan acknowledged the streamer's contribution in his acceptance speech for the series' first Best Drama Series Emmy win in 2013. Quote, "I think Netflix kept us on the air," he said back then. "Not only are we standing up here, I don't think our show would have even lasted beyond season 2. It's a new era in television, and we've been very fortunate to reap the benefits. We hear the script is being shot as a feature, though it has not been determined yet how it will air as a film or cut into episodes." So that's what Deadline says then at the end, that they're kind of speculating, but they're not for sure. And so, yeah, so this was the biggest news here about it. Of course, there has been some rumors about who's going to be in it. Is Bryan Cranston in it? Because he did confirm that it is in development, or that it was going in production, but that he hadn't seen a script yet or anything. So whether that confirms that he's not in it or not, it just depends. But yeah, I mean, it's all kind of all speculation at this point for this movie. I think it is obvious, though, that it is about Jesse. Aaron Paul is going to be the star of it, and it's going to take place after the events of Breaking Bad. That's been confirmed, and I think a lot of people are on the same page with that one. But, some people are still speculating on whether that'll even be, but I think that is what it is. So yeah, it just makes a lot of sense, to be honest, for them to do Netflix and AMC here with this one. It is interesting, though, however, that Netflix is getting the first window, as Deadline says, and AMC the second. So we see this with the Walking Dead movies that just got announced, of course, the Rick movies that are coming out. So the big thing with that was that AMC wanted to find a partner studio to take on the cost with them, right? Because I mean, to put together like these big feature films is not cheap, and for a cable, cabler like AMC, to fork over that much money to make a feature film, it's like, will they ever see that money again? I mean, it's debatable, especially if they're airing it on their own, channel and all that stuff. So, it's definitely interesting, for that point. And so that is the big thing, that they wanted another studio to come together with them on this. And so I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do that with this Breaking Bad movie, especially, and get Netflix in on it. So obviously they'll probably be spending the majority of the costs, to be honest, the Netflix studio. And then they'll kind of split the airing of it as well. But it is going to be interesting. I mean, to have Netflix put it on the Netflix service, and then we'll have to see, does AMC put it on like a week later, a month later? So it's going to be interesting to see. Also, I like how they reference this quote from Vince Gilligan, and that probably explains why they are letting Netflix take this one, is that Vince Gilligan has a lot of respect and a lot of gratitude for Netflix and their partnership in the past. And so I think that also kind of explains a little bit more of why Vince Gilligan and why AMC, the people at AMC would want to, orchestrate this partnership with Netflix. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Some people are, it should have been in theaters or whatever. And my thing about that is, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad, like, favorite TV show of all time for me. Not hating on it, but the truth of it is that if you're going to make a feature film, you're going to put it in theaters, you're going to put it on, 2,000 plus locations or something like that domestically. It is not, it's never going to make the money back, right? It's, and some people just kind of, miss it, kind of miss this, but it's like Breaking Bad. First of all, the international appeal is not really there for Breaking Bad. I haven't heard a lot of international attention. Now, of course, Netflix opens that door to the international viewing, because AMC, I mean, they are very strict. Like, anything on their website, their YouTube, I think, is an exception, but anything on their website, any of their shows, you can't watch outside of the U.S. You have to, and they make sure that you can't watch anything on there if you're outside the U.S. So, for Netflix to be able to kind of open that door to the international crowd or the international audience is good. But again, it's like, if you're going to show this movie in theaters internationally, how much money is it really going to make? And then, if people, I don't know, it's like, I think the most viewers that Breaking Bad ever got when it was on live is about 10 million or something like that. And that was like just for the last couple episodes of season 5. A lot of people forget that it wasn't actually, especially compared to the ratings nowadays, I should say, is that when it was on, except for season 5, it really was not a huge blockbuster popular show. It was really when it got on Netflix and when that season 5 was on, that was when it got really, really big, and kind of everybody was talking about it. And kind of similar to The Walking Dead popularity just a couple years ago, right? So I agree with, I feel the same with The Walking Dead. I mean, The Walking Dead's even a bigger franchise, probably has a bigger international appeal, and I don't think it would be a good idea to put that in theaters either. It's just what it is. Like, and then they have to spend all that money on marketing, trailers, and obviously paying the theaters and all this stuff. Or sorry, the theaters, paying them, but then they also have to, pay to have it in 2,000 plus locations, if that's what they were talking about doing. So it's just a huge undertaking that's not worth it for me. I'd be fine with seeing this on Netflix or AMC. So anyways, love to hear your thoughts on this one. Are you surprised that it will be on Netflix and AMC? Did you want to see it in theaters? Also, some more speculation. It wouldn't hurt. Some more speculation on what you think this one is going to show us. Whether Bryan Cranston and some others are going to be in it, we'll have to see. Maybe it's a flashback stuff. I've heard a lot of speculation about that, so we'll have to see if that's true. But yeah, I'm really excited for it, and hopefully it'll be coming out in this year, in 2019. Sounds like they're still in production right now. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. So anyways, Netflix and AMC will have the Breaking Bad movie for us. Whether how it's gonna be released on both of these is gonna be really interesting to see. The delay between the two, or how it's even gonna be distributed. That's all to come. But anyways, love to hear your thoughts on that one, of course. All right, so let's now get to our second last topic of today's episode. All right, so this one actually really interesting, and I was just talking a little bit about the Marvel Netflix stuff just a little bit ago, right? And with this one, this is actually really interesting. In the context of that Netflix Marvel stuff, we're getting into some actually pretty interesting territory here. All right, so Hulu sets Marvel animated show slate. This one's just from the Hollywood Reporter article, and this news came out, I believe, Thursday or Friday this week. Actually, pretty big news. Like I said, especially going in the Marvel Netflix context of what's going on right now with their shows. This is big news. So anyways, so here we go. Hollywood Reporter says, as Marvel's Netflix relationship sours, the comic book powerhouse is entering a new pack for a slate of 4 animated series with Hulu. The streamer, soon to be majority controlled by Marvel parent Disney, right, as part of the Fox asset sale, has greenlit 4 animated series and a special as part of a new partnership with the comic giant. Adult animated series based on popular Marvel television characters, MODOK, Hitmonkey, Tigra and Dazzler, and Howard the Duck have been ordered to series. Similar to Netflix's original 4-series deal, all of the Hulu animated shows will culminate also in a special called The Offenders. And of course, the Marvel one was called The Defenders. So, pretty funny there. Honestly, this story is really, that just summarizes this story really, really well. For them to call the special The Offenders instead of The Defenders, it's really a kind of a news story here of one-upping, getting back at them a little bit. So it's really interesting. That's what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, of course, the Marvel Netflix one was called The Defenders. They will expand Marvel's slate at Hulu, which already includes drama series The Runaways, which is awaiting word on its 3rd season right now after its sophomore run dropped all its episodes on December 21st. For Hulu, the 4 Marvel series arrive as animation has become a powerhouse for the streamer. Series included Adult Swim's Rick and Morty, Comedy Central's South Park, Fox's Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers are all among the streamer's most watched acquired programming. And also, if you go to the article on Hollywood Reporter, there's descriptions of each show. I wouldn't have had the space and the time to go through all the descriptions. And so if you want to go there, I really do encourage you to go there, read all the descriptions. They're actually pretty lengthy, so definitely if you're interested in those. But to me, my biggest, because I don't really know much about these Marvel characters and what type of stuff we will see going forward in these animated series, but the most interesting thing to me about all this news is the whole, like I just said, the kind of one-upping, right? We get, the special is called The Offenders instead of The Defenders. And the whole thing with basically Marvel pulling out of Netflix, Netflix pulling out of Marvel, either way you want to look at it, right? Just like it says, a sour relationship ending here, right? And so, you get, of course, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all canceled. The Punisher, a lot of people thought it'd be canceled by now, including myself. So that's going to be interesting to watch too. we'll have to see what happens with that. Season 2 obviously came out January 14th, I believe. So it's already been about a month since the series has come out, and it still hasn't been canceled. That's an interesting one to watch. So The Punisher Season 2, and then, of course, Jessica Jones Season 3, I believe it's Season 3, will be coming out later this year, and I don't think we have a release date for that quite yet, and a lot of people think that'll be the last one too. So of course that's been a huge trend here with the Marvel Netflix relationship, basically completely kind of getting abolished here, if you will. And now you see Hulu stepping right into their shoes and taking a 4 animated series slate. So it's really, and the key thing of this whole thing is the Marvel parent Disney, as part of the Fox asset deal, acquired Hulu. And so that is a huge thing, right? And that was part of Netflix, is that they didn't want these outside studios, as I discussed before in this episode. And then also, of course, Marvel, Netflix wanted to, the original studios, and then also Marvel wanted kind of their own content on Disney Plus and all that stuff with Disney. And so it's really interesting now that Marvel is now elected to go with Hulu instead. And of course, this, don't get lost on that. Hulu and Netflix are still two of the bigger competitors here in this whole streaming service long game. Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix. Those are the big three right now. I actually believe Amazon is number 2 in terms of subscribers and stuff. But definitely two of the top 3 that are battling it out right now. And now, to kind of rub it in Netflix's face, or at least that's my opinion of this, now they decide to do a whole new slate of Marvel shows on Hulu instead. And, of course, do a special called The Offenders. So it's just a really interesting story here, and this is something to watch going forward, too, how much Hulu will impact. Of course, we're getting, Disney Plus with Loki, and is it The Watchmen or something like that? A few other series on there now coming with Marvel. Some people are speculating whether Daredevil will make an appearance in some sort of universe that Disney Plus will establish there. And so it's going to be really interesting to see, but this is interesting. I don't know that a lot of people expected this to happen with, instead of Disney Plus, them going to Hulu and establishing a whole new kind of universe, if you will, but kind of a slate of Marvel shows now on Hulu. And as it says, The Runaways is also already a Hulu Marvel kind of partnership there. And their animation slate is also probably the biggest for Hulu right now. And so for them, I mean, this is obviously smart. The best case scenario, I think, for them. And also Marvel fans and fans of these comic books, characters, storylines. This is going to be awesome. So you know what? I think this is really good news all around, except for Netflix. They're really the only losers in this one. But maybe they view it as they winning with parting ways with these Marvel shows. I don't know. But it's really interesting. So this is a story to watch, I think, even for the next couple years, to see this whole transformation from Marvel Netflix into Hulu Marvel now, and Disney Plus Marvel Universe now. So, and of course, you still got the movies over all that, and Avengers Endgame, of course, coming out very shortly. So, this is all really interesting stuff. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. Do you agree with me? Do you think this is kind of like a in-your-face type of thing, that Hulu's now getting a Marvel slate now that Netflix and Marvel kind of broke apart there? Or am I just looking into it a little bit too much? I don't know. But that's kind of my thought on that one. Love to hear your thoughts as well for Hulu's new Marvel animated slate of shows there being established. All right, so really interesting news there. Love to hear your thoughts as well on that one. So now on to our last topic of today's show, and this one is Jack Ryan. All right, so Jack Ryan renewed for 3rd season on Amazon. And so this one's from The Hollywood Reporter. I'll take a look at the article here, and then I'll share some of my thoughts. So, Jack Ryan will continue tracking danger across the globe. Amazon on Wednesday announced that it has renewed the spy thriller series based on the character from several Tom Clancy novels for a third season. The show stars John Krasinski as the title character, a CIA analyst who in the first season leaves his desk job for the field and tracking down a dangerous terrorist. Wendell Pierce and Abby Cornish also star in the series. Season 2 picked up several months before the series debuted, will take Ryan to South America and involve him in what executive producer Carlton Cuse calls an allegory for the decline of democracy. The season went in production last summer, but its release date hasn't been announced yet. Season 1 filmed in 6 countries on 3 continents, costing a reported $8 million to $10 million per episode. Amazon began developing Jack Ryan in 2015 and ordered it to series the following year in 2016, but it didn't reach screens until August 2018. And so that's essentially the extent of the article there, but that number is crazy. I mean, am I the only one who just found this out now? Like 8 million to 10 million per episode? I have, of course, heard of Jack Ryan and kind of know the general, basis for the series and what it's all based around. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, of course, and the source material, the books. But wow, like I didn't know Amazon put that much into this series, and so for them, to hear this news renewed for a third season, that's no surprise. I mean, obviously season 1 did pretty damn good. If they're willing to spend $8 to $10 million per episode and still go forward with a third season, the audience, the ratings, and the money, obviously, beyond all else, is definitely going to be there. And so, or maybe this is kind of an investment in the future for Amazon too, right? It could be that as well. But anyways, this is crazy stuff. To have them renewed now for a third season before the second season has even been announced for a premiere date. So we know that Amazon has unbelievable confidence in this series right now. So yeah, I mean, that's always great to see when a network, a cable, or a streaming service has that, just like I said, I mean, amazing level of confidence for a show is always great to see, as a fan of that show for sure. Of course, John Krasinski, awesome. Obviously, he'll always be known for The Office, but I have heard that he's really great in this. And then also Wendell Pierce, really like him as an actor in Suits, The Wire, a couple of shows, and he's done a lot more, don't get me wrong. Abby Cornish as well. I recognize that name. I've definitely seen her in some stuff. But nothing lately. But anyways, really great stuff here. If you've seen Jack Ryan Season 1, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Maybe I'm going to get into it. I didn't know the extent to this one. Like I said, I knew kind of the source material. I knew what it was based around. Obviously, I knew John Krasinski, Wendell Pierce, Abby Cornish, but to hear that, this much is put into it, they have this much confidence in it, is something that I was not aware of before this. And so, really love to hear you guys' thoughts on this one for renewed for third season on Amazon, Jack Ryan, and also let me know what you think of the series currently as well. With season 1 and season 2 probably coming out this year. Although, as the article states, we have not got a release date for that one yet. But it did go into production last summer, so I think it's safe to say that it will be coming sometime in 2019. But anyways, again, let me know your thoughts on that one. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. All right, so that just about does it then for all the topics for this week's episode of Let's Talk Television. And now we'll go over my weekly notables from this week, and yeah, I think that'll just about do it then. So, anyways. So some really great news this week. Next week, hopefully, we'll have some good news as well. Some good stuff to talk about. Some weeks are slower than others. I felt like this week was a pretty jam-packed one again. Some pretty big news topics here that came out. So yeah, great to talk about. And again, as I said, love to hear your thoughts on any or all of them. So there you go. All right, my weekly notes from this week in television. Remember, these are only shows that I have watched this week. And so, if you see an amazing performance by this guy in Supernatural, the episode last week, I didn't watch it, so that's why that performance is not featured in this segment. But anyway, so without any further ado, my weekly notes from this week. So my notable episode from this week, I got to give it to True Detective Season 3, Episode 6, Hunters in the Dark. True Detective, this season has been just incredible for me. I've really, really enjoyed it. Whether it's Mahershala Ali, Stephen Dorff, Scoot McNairy, Carmen Eogo, the cast. So whether it's the cast, the story, the mystery, just, the cinematography, the visuals, just everything about this season is just really great, bringing back that True Detective feel. And episode 6 had by far the biggest surprise, the biggest reveal, and the best ending of any episode so far. Which reveals a lot for this week's episode that I'll be watching right after this, episode 7, and then we got one more after that for the finale of season 3. So, anyways, this episode was really great, and if you're watching True Detective season 3, love to hear your thoughts on the season. I know some people, still a little bit eerie on this one, we're kind of waiting for the finale to kind of make a final judgment of this season, but for me, I'm sold. I really do enjoy it so far, so there you go. My notable performance, I gotta give it to Michael Cera. In Weird City, episode 2 of Family. This show, I don't know what to exactly even say about this show. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a new YouTube original, came out, I believe it was on Thursday, this last week, and I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I'm gonna try to watch all 6, and then I might do a review over on my review channel, Chatterbox Reviews. That might be coming later this week or something like that, if I get a chance. But it's like, it is such a weird show. I mean, Weird City, that is a pretty good description of it. Of course, Jordan Peele, kind of behind this, one of the co-creators of it, and the cast of it is also really great. Dylan O'Brien in the first episode, Michael Cera, and Rosario. So is it? Anyways, Rosario something. I'm forgetting her name. Anyways, so she's in this episode 2 as well, and you get Stephen Young a little bit later on. Some really great cast members here. So, Michael Cera, this performance was by far the weirdest performance on TV I've seen in a while, but I thought it was actually really good. I think he did an amazing job with how weird this was in keeping it somewhat grounded, somewhat captivating. Thank God these episodes are only 20 or 25 minutes, because I don't think I would be able to watch more than that at a time. But anyways, check out Weird City. Check out episode 1. It's definitely, a lot of people are saying it's the best one by far. It just goes downhill from there. I kind of liked episode 2 though. But yeah, episode 1 was okay. It's still better, but definitely okay for me. But anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on Weird City, man. It is a weird show, and I haven't seen enough people to kind of discuss the show yet with, and that's maybe why I'm going to wait a little bit on posting a review for it as well, because I don't think a lot of people at this point have got a chance to see it yet. But anyways, those are my weekly notables from this week in television. Like I said off the top, and we got, to me personally, this is what I'm watching every week. I Am the Night, I'm still tuning into that one. Project Blue Book, Weird City, The Walking Dead, and True Detective. Those are the 5 shows that I watched this week, at least an episode of. And I'm honestly enjoying every one. I'm the Night is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to check out the next couple episodes, mainly just because of time constraint as well, but, and the Project Blue Book, really impressed with that one. So yeah, really great stuff. So anyways, guys, without any further ado, I guess that's pretty much it, for this episode. Yeah, that'll just about do it. So again, thank you to those of you who tune in live. Really do appreciate it as always. And yeah, those of you who tune in afterwards also, of course, do really appreciate it. Yeah, so I guess we'll see you guys next Saturday then, hopefully, for Let's Talk Television, talking about the news coming up in this week. We do have some premiere dates awaiting for some new shows coming out in 2019. And you never know when you're going to get some more news about the Breaking Bad movie or the Walking Dead movies. And so, of course, we'll be talking about those as well. So, anyways, guys, again, thank you so much for watching then this episode of Let's Talk Television. And we'll see you next week. All right, guys, take care.